Bill Cosby walked free today after the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania overturned his conviction, leaving his accusers stunned.
Judy Cosby telling ABC's Lindsay Davis on the phone after his release that his conviction did not match the truth. Tonight, his accusers also reacting to the news. He is no longer in prison.
Nobody had the sense to say, wait 1 second. This doesn't match up with the truth.
Bill Cosby gave a deposition in a civil case.
Following a state Supreme Court decision in Commonwealth v. Cosby, Bill Cosby, the disgraced comedian convicted of SA in 2018, has been released from prison. However, life post-release has proven to be challenging for him. Rather than finding a semblance of happiness, Cosby's existence is marked by ongoing difficulties. Numerous individuals are actively making it their mission to ensure that his life remains as troubled as possible. With an increasing number of people emerging to contribute to the hardships he faces, Cosby's post-prison survival is far from a content one. Almost 3 years has passed since Bill Cosby was denied parole due to his refusal to participate in prison workshops for offenders. However, the 83-year-old comedian is now a free man. Following the Supreme Court's affirmation of Pennsylvania's highest court's decision to overturn Cosby's 3 felony charges of aggravated indecent A, numerous questions have arisen regarding the circumstances leading to his release and the potential implications for future cases in the Me Too era.
Judges pointing to a vast violation of Cosby's due process rights in the decision. So what happened? Well, more than a decade ago, a prosecutor decided not to charge the actor.
In 2014, Cosby faced numerous allegations, including R, defacilitated SA, S battery, child SA, and S misconduct from over 60 women spanning the years 1965 to 2008. He vehemently denied all accusations.
No, we don't answer that.
Okay. I just wanted to ask if you wanted to respond at all about whether any of that was true.
There's no response.
In 2018, Cosby was found guilty by a jury on 3 counts of aggravated indecent A against Andrea Constand in 2004, a Temple University employee. He received a sentence of 3 to 10 years in state prison, along with a $25,000 fine and court costs for both trials. However, Cosby was released from prison almost 3 years later. On June 30th, 2021, Bill Cosby was released from prison after serving nearly 3 years for aggravated indecent A. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction, citing violations of his due process rights. Due process is a legal requirement that mandates governments to respect all legal rights owed to a person in a court of law. Since December 2019, Cosby's legal team had been appealing the verdict. Initially, the Pennsylvania Superior Court upheld the conviction. However, a significant turning point occurred when the court agreed to review whether Cosby's constitutional rights were violated during the 2018 trial, particularly concerning the use of evidence from the 2005 civil lawsuit brought by Andrea Constand in his criminal trial.
And during that, admitted to giving quaaludes to a woman he was pursuing. That became key evidence in the subsequent criminal trial.
In February 2005, Montgomery County District Attorney Bruce Castor, in a press release, asserted that obtaining a conviction against Bill Cosby was deemed unattainable. Consequently, he opted not to criminally charge Cosby based on the allegations made by Andrea Constand. Castor assured Cosby that he would not face criminal prosecution in the Constand matter. In response, Cosby agreed to testify in the civil lawsuit, during which he admitted to providing Constand with Benadryl and antihistamine and acknowledged giving quaaludes to other women.
Cosby told police the pills were Benadryl, which he purchased over the counter. He told officers for 5 years he took the pills from city to city.
The civil lawsuit was subsequently settled, with Cosby agreeing to pay $3.38 million in damages. It's noteworthy that evidence from this civil case played a significant role in forming the prosecution's case during Cosby's later criminal trial. Fans suggested that it was just a game of money. One of them wrote, "If they didn't do this for the money, then why did they accept it as restitution? Why didn't they donate it for battered women? Lol." This was all a ploy for money, which they all sued, and won some money which they all kept, which they each said it wasn't for the money, but they kept it. Lol. Another one added, "They waited 30 years to accuse him, but visited him throughout the years. Lol. Money, money, money. That's all they wanted." Edit. Sorry if I offend you, but I never thought he was guilty. Now go ahead and murder me in the comments. Following a reversal of Montgomery County District Attorney Bruce Castor's decision, a subsequent district attorney criminally charged Bill Cosby with Andrea Constand. The trial took place in 2018, during which prosecutors utilized evidence from Cosby's deposition in the Constand civil case. Cosby's legal team contended that he had agreed to testify in the civil case under the assurance that he would not face criminal prosecution, as promised by Castor. This argument centered on the claim that Cosby's due process rights were violated.
I thought that she was telling the truth. I didn't think that there was enough evidence based on her statements alone to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. I hate to parse words, but...
Ultimately, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court agreed with Cosby's legal team and ruled that his due process rights had indeed been violated. As a result, Cosby's conviction was overturned, and he was released from prison on June 30th, 2021, the same day the ruling was made. In the ruling to overturn Cosby's conviction, Justice David Norman Wecht wrote, "We hold that when a prosecutor makes an unconditional promise of non-prosecution, and when the defendant relies upon that guarantee to the detriment of his constitutional right not to testify, the principle of fundamental fairness that undergirds due process of law in our criminal justice system demands that the promise be enforced." The ruling continued. He must be discharged, and any future prosecution on these particular charges must be barred. We do not dispute that this remedy is both severe and rare, but it is warranted here, indeed compelled. In a statement on Twitter following his release, Cosby said, "Thank you to all my fans, supporters, and friends who stood by me through this ordeal. I have never changed my stance nor my story. I have always maintained my innocence. Special thanks to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court for upholding the rule of law." In a statement issued through her lawyers, Constand said the court's ruling was not only disappointing but of concern in that it may discourage those who seek justice for SA in the criminal justice system from reporting or participating in the prosecution of the assailant, or may force a victim to choose between filing either a criminal or civil action. In response to the ruling, prosecutor Kevin Steele said that Cosby was found guilty by a jury and now goes free on a procedural issue that is irrelevant to the facts of the crime. "My hope is that this decision will not dampen the reporting of SA by victims. We still believe that no one is above the law, including those who are rich, famous, and powerful." In November 2021, the district attorney filed papers with the Supreme Court of the United States seeking to have Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision overturned. At the time of writing, the DA's petition had not been ruled upon. After his release, many people thought that his release stems from a striking demonstration of prosecutorial incompetence. The court sharply divided in its opinions on Cosby's case, and a lengthy and convoluted judicial opinion that proves challenging to decipher.
Well, I made the correct decisions at the time, and they still hold up today. I mean, I put in writing that he wasn't going to be prosecuted.
The central point of this opinion is that despite then Montgomery County District Attorney Bruce Castor not establishing a formal immunity agreement with Cosby, a 2005 press release issued by Castor, coupled with Cosby's subsequent damning testimony in a civil lawsuit, was deemed to have the equivalent impact of a formal immunity deal.
Did I think he probably did something inappropriate? Yes. Did I think that I could prove it beyond a reasonable doubt based on available, credible, and admissible evidence? No, I didn't.
The decision, which assigns considerable legal weight to a press release from 16 years ago, may seem absurd on the surface, but has a legal basis. It does not absolve Cosby. Rather, it nullifies his conviction on constitutional grounds. Justice David Wecht's majority opinion, though poorly organized and challenging to follow, relies on fundamental principles of contract law that are typically covered in the first year of law school.
A hung jury, the judge declaring a mistrial after jurors made it clear they could not overcome their deadlock. No verdict on whether the man once known as America's dad.
However, evidence suggests that the court fell short in providing a clear and concise explanation to the public, especially to victims of SA, regarding why Cosby was released. Despite accusations predating the Me Too movement, Cosby was among the first high-profile men to face criminal consequences for S misconduct in the wake of the movement's rise. As Vox's Anna North explained, one of the first high-profile men to face criminal consequences for S misconduct. While the court's decision may not inherently imply a legal error, 6 out of the 7 justices on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court agreed to overturn Cosby's conviction. Among them, Justice Wecht and 3 others concluded that that the state should not have the opportunity to retry Cosby. Cosby faced accusations from 60 women regarding SA, but his conviction pertained to the A of Andrea Constand. The possibility remains that another prosecutor could pursue a case involving one of the other 59 accusers. Unless the unlikely scenario of intervention by the U.S. Supreme Court occurs, Justice Wecht's stance is poised to be the conclusive judgment on Cosby's conviction for A. Constand. The conviction is now nullified and likely to remain so.
What was Mr. Cosby's reaction?
Relief. 52 hours of having 12 perfect strangers deliberate on your fate has to be a strain the likes of which.
Andrea Constand, a former professional basketball player, developed a personal connection with Cosby while she served as the director of Temple University's women's basketball program. Cosby extended invitations to her, welcomed her family to his stand-up performances, and expressed a desire to assist Constand in pursuing a career in sports broadcasting. As highlighted in a 2018 report by PR Lockhart for Vox, Constand made allegations in 2004, asserting that Cosby had D&M her during an incident at his residence. These accusations led to a civil lawsuit in 2005 and ultimately resulted in a criminal trial in 2017. According to the legal complaints, during a visit to Cosby's residence in 2004, Cosby persuaded Constand to ingest 3 pills, purportedly containing a sedative. However, Cosby denied that he D-hurl. Subsequently, Constand experienced weakness, an inability to move or speak, and lapses in consciousness. While Constand was incapacitated and unable to verbally refuse or physically resist, Cosby allegedly touched her and inserted his fingers into her. Additionally, Cosby purportedly utilized Constand's hand to M himself. These details are central to the allegations made against Cosby in the legal proceedings. This incident aligned with a recurring pattern. During the criminal trial where Cosby was found guilty of a Constand, 5 additional women testified that Cosby had SA them. In many of these cases, Cosby allegedly offered mentorship or implied assistance with their careers. Crucially, all the accusers testified that Cosby provided them with DA, or a combination of both, with the intent of preventing them from resisting when he attacked them.
How can a district attorney enforce a decision on a backroom handshake? How can you give any credibility to that?
It's noteworthy that prosecutors did not bring charges against Cosby until 2015, more than a decade after the A on Constand. A contributing factor was that Constand did not come forward with her allegations against Cosby until 2005, approximately a year after the A occurred. An even more pivotal factor was Castor, the district attorney, expressing doubt that he could secure a conviction if charges were brought against Cosby in 2005. After a month-long investigation into Constand's allegations against Cosby, Castor decided not to bring charges. Yet, according to Wecht's majority opinion, Castor still contemplated an alternative course of action that could place Constand on a path to some form of justice. That path, civil court. Under the Fifth Amendment, no one may be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself. But if a potential criminal defendant is given immunity from prosecution, they may be compelled to testify against themselves in a civil trial. So, as Castor later explained, he decided that Mr. Cosby would not be prosecuted no matter what, thinking Constand would have a better shot at justice in civil court. With the threat of prosecution removed, that then made it so that Cosby could not take the Fifth Amendment ever as a matter of law. But Castor never reached a formal immunity agreement with Cosby, and Pennsylvania law typically requires a district attorney to request an immunity order from any judge of a designated court before such an agreement is finalized. Instead of pursuing charges, Castor issued a press release in February 2005, stating that the district attorney finds insufficient credible and admissible evidence exists upon which any charge against Mr. Cosby could be sustained beyond a reasonable doubt. The release argued that securing a conviction under the circumstances would be unattainable. Shortly thereafter, Constand initiated a civil lawsuit against Cosby, ultimately settling for $3.38 million. Notably, during the year and a half of litigation, no formal immunity agreement was reached between Cosby and Castor. Throughout this legal process, Cosby underwent 4 depositions, providing testimony about his interactions with Constand. In these depositions, he admitted to having given Quaaludes, a sedative D, to women with whom he desired to engage in S activities. According to Wecht, Cosby's legal team believed that the district attorney's decision had legally stripped Cosby of any right or ability to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Surprisingly, during the 4 depositions, Cosby neither invoked the Fifth Amendment nor mentioned it at any point. Castor resigned as district attorney in 2008 after being elected to another office. Notably, he is a prominent Pennsylvania Republican and briefly served as the state's acting attorney general in 2016. He later represented then-President Donald Trump at his second impeachment trial. Following Castor's departure, Risa Vetri-Furman, his successor, chose to reopen the Cosby investigation in 2015.
Well, I mean, anybody who's involved in law enforcement, and I was for decades, you get a gut instinct about whether somebody is bad or...
Furman's decision to revisit the case was influenced significantly by a federal judge's unsealing of Cosby's depositions, indicating that she may have based her choice on information Cosby disclosed during the civil trial. Additionally, as highlighted in a partial dissent by Justice Kevin Doherty, Furman's office utilized evidence from the civil case regarding Cosby's use of D to facilitate his SE in prosecuting him during the criminal trial. This sets the stage for the legal rationale behind the eventual overturning of Cosby's conviction by the state Supreme Court. To grasp Wecht's perspective, it's beneficial to delve into some fundamental principles of contract law. Typically, for 2 parties to be legally bound by a contract, certain elements must be met. One party must extend an offer, and the other must accept it. Additionally, there must be consideration, indicating that each party agrees to give up something to the other. However, a legal doctrine called promissory estoppel may, in certain circumstances, waive these requirements. This occurs when one party makes a promise to another, and the second party relies on that promise to their detriment. The difficulties for him kept increasing. In 2022, Bill Cosby found himself back in the courtroom, facing renewed legal scrutiny over allegations of SA. This followed his release from prison nearly a year prior, as his previous criminal conviction had been overturned in a separate case. The disgraced comedian and actor was slated to undergo a civil trial, prompted by accusations from California resident Judy Hu. She claimed Cosby essayed her at the Playboy Mansion during her teenage years in the mid-1970s.
She and her client met with detectives today for an hour and a half discussing claims against Cosby, and the LAPD confirms they have now opened an investigation.
The allegations, which initially surfaced in 2014, predating the #MeToo movement, finally reached the trial phase. Various obstacles, including challenges related to the statute of limitations for reporting A and shifts in Huth's recollection of the alleged incident's timing, had contributed to delays in bringing the case to court. Judy Hu's case marks one of the final remaining civil lawsuits confronting the once-admired Cosby Show star, who previously settled multi-million-dollar cases with at least 8 women. Bill Cosby, now 84, has declared his decision not to attend the latest civil proceedings, scheduled to take place in Santa Monica.
Judith Huth is the latest alleged victim of Bill Cosby to speak out publicly through her attorney, Gloria Allred.
The courtroom proceedings did not open to cameras, preventing the majority of the trial from being streamed or televised. However, Judge Craig D. Carlin considered allowing the filming of closing statements. Huth, residing in Riverside County, asserted that she met Cosby around 1975 while he was filming a movie in San Marino. According to Huth, Cosby invited her and a friend to a tennis club, provided them with drinks, and later took them to the Playboy Mansion, instructing them to claim they were 19 if questioned. Huth recounted that after using the bathroom, she found Cosby sitting on the bed. Allegedly, he attempted to put his hand down her pants, grabbing her hand and coercing her into performing a S-act on him. Cosby, maintaining his innocence in this case, has consistently denied allegations from approximately 60 women who have accused him of RSA and various other crimes.
Huth met with 2 LAPD detectives today, and the LAPD says they have now opened an investigation into her claims, even though the statute of limitations has expired on the alleged crime.
Initially, Huth claimed the A occurred in 1974 when she was 15. However, she later revised her account, stating that it happened in 1975. In 2015, when Bill Cosby faced arrest for alleged S crimes, the progression of Judy Huth's and other civil cases was halted. Shortly after Huth filed her lawsuit, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office opted not to press charges against Cosby, citing the statute of limitations. However, in 2019, a new California law was enacted, extending the time frame for victims of childhood SA to file lawsuits. This legislative change was prompted by widely publicized allegations of A, involving Catholic priests, and Larry Nassar, a former U.S. Olympics gymnastics team doctor. After Huth, 5 more women, including Lily Bernard and Eden Turl from The Cosby Show, collectively filed a civil lawsuit in New York, asserting that Bill Cosby SA or A them. Notably, this legal action was taken during a 1-year look-back window designed to accommodate SA complaints that might have otherwise surpassed statutory limitations. The complainants, Lily Bernard, Eden Turl, Cindra Ladd, Jewel Gittins, and Jennifer Thompson, allege that Cosby either R them or coerced them into S acts. 4 of these incidents reportedly occurred in the late 1980s or 1990s, coinciding with the time when The Cosby Show was airing on NBC. The lawsuit took an expansive approach by naming NBC, Kaufman Astoria Studios, and the Carsey-Werner Company as defendants. The complaint contends that these entities facilitated the SA of women by neglecting to curb Cosby's influence and proclivities, failing to safeguard the women from being alone with him, and profiting from his work. According to Jordan Rutsky, a lawyer representing the plaintiffs, it was well known within the industry that Bill Cosby would routinely bring young women into his dressing room. Shockingly, there were instances where staff members allegedly witnessed this behavior and even encouraged the victims to comply. The 5th allegation involves Cindra Ladd, a former Hollywood executive who accused Cosby of raping her in 1969 when she was 21. Ladd claimed that Cosby D&A'd her during this incident. In response to the allegations, Cosby's spokesperson maintains his innocence, stating, "Mr. Cosby continues to vehemently deny all allegations waged against him and looks forward to defending himself in court." The legal proceedings shed more light on these serious accusations and the alleged complicity of the named entities in enabling Cosby's purported misconduct. However, he still managed to release a statement after his release. Taking to Twitter after his SA conviction was overturned, Cosby wrote, "I have never changed my stance nor my story. I have always maintained my innocence. Thank you to all my fans, supporters, and friends who stood by me through this ordeal. Special thanks to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court for upholding the rules of law." During a news conference, his lawyer Jennifer Bonjean said, "We are thrilled to have Mr. Cosby home. He served 3 years of an unjust sentence, and he did it with dignity and principle." However, Cosby's release proved to be a shocking decision, leading many in the entertainment and media industry to react and express their surprise and anger. In a statement obtained by the Associated Press, Constand and her lawyers called the ruling disappointing and expressed fear that it could discourage SA victims from coming forward. "We urge all victims to have their voices heard," they said. The same reaction came from the fans also. One of them wrote, "The prosecution should all be held accountable for their illegal behavior, even if it isn't popular. Thousands of plea deals are made every day in the system. A new DA cannot undo agreements made by their predecessor." Another one added, "That's American justice for you. If you have fame, money, and connections with influential people, you can buy your way out of jail. Disgusting and shameful. And there's no justice for those women who suffer the hands of that man." One more person went on saying, "It's truly amazing how much prison clears up a person's dementia. I remember initially when the case was going on, and he was acting like he didn't know his own name, and now he's speaking eloquently. This is a definite failure of the justice system, begin with you, no end of days and all." However, amid the enormous hate, he still planned to make a tour in 2023. "Bill Cosby is going on tour," comedy writer Rachel Malanta said on Twitter. "Tell me again how cancel culture has gone too far." However, it can't change the fact that he still could not manage to make a place in his fans' heart like he had before. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.